Welcome to this Unity tutorial. Today, we're diving into Unity attributes. In Unity, attributes are special tags you can add above your variables or classes to modify how they behave in the inspector or during compilation. Organizing variables in the inspector, adding useful information or restrictions, changing how variables are displayed, and even affecting performance or functionality behind the scenes. Basically, they make your code cleaner and your Unity editor easier to use. So, let's get started. 1. Header attribute. The header attribute adds a label above variables in the inspector. It's great for grouping related variables under a clear, descriptive heading. For example, you might group all player stats under a player settings header. This helps keep your inspector clean and easy to navigate. 2. Space attribute. The space attribute adds vertical space between variables in the inspector. It's a simple way to visually separate groups of variables for better readability. You can specify how many pixels of space you want. 3. Range attribute. The range attribute creates a slider in the inspector for numeric variables. You can set minimum and maximum values to restrict input. This is perfect for values like health, speed, or volume, where you want users to pick values within a specific range. 4. Tooltip attribute. Tooltip attribute shows a small pop-up message when you hover over a variable in the inspector. This is useful for giving extra information or instructions about what a variable does without cluttering your code. 5. Multiline and text area attribute. Multiline text area attribute. The multiline attribute lets you create a larger, multiline text box for your string variables in the inspector. Normally, strings show as a single-line text field, but with multiline, you can easily edit longer texts, descriptions, or notes without scrolling through a tiny box. This is perfect for things like dialogue, tooltips, or detailed comments directly editable inside Unity. 6. ContextMenu attribute. The ContextMenu attribute allows you to add custom methods to the right-click menu of a mono behavior script in the Unity inspector. This is incredibly useful during development, especially when you need to quickly test or trigger specific actions without writing temporary UI or entering play mode. It's a handy tool for improving your workflow, testing features, and performing repetitive tasks with just one click. 7. SerializeField attribute. The SerializeField attribute lets you keep a variable private but still editable in the inspector. This helps you follow good encapsulation practices while exposing necessary data for tweaking. 8. HideInInspector attribute. The HideInInspector attribute allows you to hide public variables from being displayed in the Unity inspector, even though they are still accessible from other scripts. This can be useful in situations where a variable needs to be public for code access or interaction between scripts, but doesn't need to be visible or editable in the inspector. 9. RequireComponent attribute. The RequireComponent attribute automatically adds a required component to your game object when you add a script that depends on it. For example, if your script needs a rigid body component to work properly, adding RequireComponent typeof, rigid body ensures that rigid body is always present. This helps prevent errors and makes your scripts more robust by enforcing dependencies upfront. 10. OnDrawGizmos method. The OnDrawGizmos method is a special Unity callback that lets you draw custom gizmos in the scene view. Gizmos are visual aids that help you debug and design your game by showing things like object boundaries, paths, or sensor ranges directly in the editor. When you implement OnDrawGizmos in your script, Unity calls it every frame in the editor, allowing you to draw shapes, lines, icons, or colors to represent important information about your game objects. For example, you can draw a wireframe sphere around an enemy to show its detection range or display waypoints for AI navigation. These visual cues don't appear in the actual game, they're only visible in the editor. but they're invaluable for understanding and tweaking your game setup visually. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe.